and that's how we do it. We get lost and we find our way back home. My name is Adam Levy, and
I'm João Erbetta.
And we have a band called Mad Flux, and you're looking at the whole band now. And we made a record called Mad Flux that features some original music and some very old Brazilian tunes. And what else is on there?
Tunes from New Orleans.
New Orleans, right?
Also like old tunes from New Orleans. I think we kind of we're looking for songs with good melodies, because somehow we kind of thought that it would be a good idea to bring back some melodies to the guitar playing.
Right.
Even you told me this morning that some of the New Orleans tunes we never had guitars on the doing the melodies originally.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
But they sound cool with the guitar, and most of them they are like trumpet oriented songs or clarinet songs, and we kind of took that role, saying let's do it on guitar.
Right. Yeah. New Orleans music doesn't have a great guitar tradition. I mean, I can only think of really two big name guitar players from New Orleans: Snooks Eaglin and Leo Nocentelli from the Meters. But the music that we play predates all of that stuff. We're talking about stuff from the Louis Armstrong early jazz era.
Yeah.
Really, when we first, João and I both lived in New York around the same time 5 years ago, and we met each other, and we just sort of became fans of each other. We'd go to each other's gigs. Basically, somebody said, "Oh, you guys should meet."
Yeah.
I forget, Mary Bragg maybe, or somebody.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Tim said that.
Yeah.
A lot of people
We just kept hearing it, and finally we started stalking each other at each other's gigs. But we didn't really play together until much more recently. We both live in California now, and I was asked to play a set at a jazz festival in San Francisco, and I didn't have a band at the time, and I thought, well, maybe we could finally do the thing that we've been talking about doing. And when the concept was basically, let's play Brazilian tunes and old New Orleans tunes and other kind of Latin tunes. Like we play Patricia, which I don't even know where that's from, but I think of it as Cuban. It might be a Cuban tune.
It might be a Cuban, but that's a good question.
And we play Tico Tico, which is a Brazilian
It's
tune.
a Brazilian tune from 1917.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lots of good old stuff. I think everybody knows Tico Tico, but they don't know much. They recognize the melody,
Right.
but they don't know much about the song. As a matter of fact, the guy who wrote Tico Tico, Zequinha de Abreu, is from my family's town, so that's why I have this connection with him too. So, what else we played that night?
That night we played. We played That's a Plenty.
That's a Plenty, yeah.
Which is an old New Orleans tune.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else we played. We somehow threw this set together that on paper didn't seem to have it's not like when people ask you what do, we're not a cover band of Brazilian music, we're not a cover band of New Orleans music.
Yeah.
But we do, to me they seem to come from the same place, which is like melody and rhythm. It's not so much a deep harmony. Neither of those, these old tunes, it's not about deep harmony, because it really predated the kind of cool jazz. This is way before Bill Evans and any of that kind of stuff. So you had basically old men playing mandolins and trumpets is sort of where the music comes from. And on a mandolin and a trumpet, you're going to play the melody. And in Chorino music, is somebody even really playing the chords, or not really? Or is it more about bass lines and counterpoint? There's
usually the 7-string guitar doing that,
right?
Doing the chords and also the bass lines, but mainly as you said, the mandolin or the cavaquinho,
right?
But and that's another thing that we kind of share, because the mandolin and the cavaquinho, they had the same kind of a role with the ukulele on the other parts of and the tenor banjo, of course, the tenor banjo doing so they all come from the same source, at kind of the same time, but in different places they got different names and different configurations, but
right. But in each of those different styles, something had to kind of serve this function and that function.
Yeah.
So we both sort of are in love with these old tunes, and we just thought it would be fun to try and bring them onto the guitar, since that's what we play.
Exactly. And I remember getting out of the stage and looking at each other. It was like, well, first we have to do this again, and the second we have to do a record out of this. Right. It was right after that gig that at first was just one gig. It was just let's
it was gonna
do
let's get together, let's play a gig, no big plans, and then a little time passed, and we were both like, that was really fun. Well, first thing, we walked off stage, and our friend Todd said, hey, I'm getting married later this year. You have to come play our wedding. And so we figured out one gig led to another. We must be doing something right.
Yep.
And then we decided to make a record. And again, we just sort of picked the tunes. It wasn't like, we don't have any kind of grand plan except to entertain ourselves.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. I remember the first time I was touring, I used to play with Nora Jones, and the first tour that we ever did to Japan was a promotional tour. And I guess technically, if you're just playing like radio shows and press stuff, you don't need the same kind of work visas that you would need if you were playing big concerts. And I get off the plane, and I'm totally green at traveling. I don't know anything about anything, and I hand the border guy in the airport in Japan my passport, and he says, what's the purpose of your visit? And I said, entertainment. And he said, oh, you're an entertainer? You can't be here. You need a work visa. And I said, no, I'm here for my own entertainment. That's the purpose of my visit is to entertainment, to amuse myself. And that's been my kind of MO, which is not to say that we don't take music seriously, but it has to be fun.
Sure.
And we hope that if it's fun for us, that it radiates to other people. And though we don't have a bass player or a drummer or a rhythm section per se, but I think our music, you can dance to it. And,
sure.
So it's really about melody and rhythm. A lot of the times we don't even take long solos. People think of guitar as when is my solo? And this band isn't really about when is my solo.
No, not really. Yeah. It's about the songs. Yeah. The music. Yeah.
So let's talk about the guitars. What is that beautiful guitar you've got?
This one, it's a Gretsch Synchromatic, I guess from it's a 1953, and it's very cool because it has this beautiful Diamond pickup. What do they call the monkey bar? Monkey bar? Is that right? Do you know about this? Yeah, they call it monkey bar, I guess. Just the way you fix it on the top. So I used that guitar on the record. This guitar on the record. It sounds great. And, we all love not only vintage guitars or this one, I don't think everybody consider like a vintage guitar because it's not a rare one. It's not like so you can actually use it. You can actually play it without, So how about, what is that one?
You can play it on a gig without having like a big rope around the stage. And nobody can. Nobody you don't have to have the humidity meter on the, museum guards everywhere we go.
No, I don't want to do that.
This guitar, I have to fess up, is not my guitar. It's actually João's guitar. It's a 1967 Gibson ES330. With flat wound strings on it. I'm a big flat wound string enthusiast. Maybe you guys should start an offshoot magazine called Flat Wound Enthusiast. Flat wound enthusiast. But it's quite similar to a guitar that I have. My main guitar at home is a 64 ES335. On the record that we made, we'll show the record. This is Mad Flux, our Mad Flux record. And on the cover, I think this is a Jazz Master or something.
Yeah, it's his Pete Curry's Jazz Master.
But in the studio, it was like a candy shop in there. Totally. I brought my guitars. I brought my 64 335. I brought my 1931 National Style O, which is really cool guitar.
Beautiful.
And still, whatever cool guitars you would bring, the studio that we recorded at, which is called the Pow Wow Fun Room.
Yeah.
He's got better guitars and better amps, and he knows also he's a real wizard with like, oh, that guitar through that amp with this mic on it is going to be amazing. And then the part of the fun was coupling the guitars so that they were a little more. Each song, the two guitars have very distinct characters.
Yep.
We played an old Epiphone Texan.
Yep.
On the record.
We used the Texan. We used this one. Pete got this another old Gretsch guitar, kind of a with the round hole. We used that too, and it was great. But yeah, that's the Pete Curry. Pete Curry from the Low Straight Jackets. He's like, he knows really well the stuff that he has. You know, all the guitars, all the amps. So it was at the same time, without being like, nobody was looking for the holy grail or whatever. It's just, wow, this is cool. Let's use that.
It wasn't like, oh, there's that one song on Pet Sounds where they do this thing, and we're going to do that exact thing, and he's got a tape measure out, and like, no, it wasn't like that. It was much more improvisatory and loose. But every tune that we started to play, when we started to play it for the first take, he would go, oh, I see where you guys are going. Why don't you try this and this? And we just stayed open to it.
Yeah.
And I think it made the record fun because for us anyway, the every song has kind of a slightly different character. There's some electric things or some acoustic things. We used the slapback echo. He had a what was it? Just an
not
Echoplex.
A space echo. The Echoplex.
Yeah.
The Echoplex.
Echoplex. A champ on, dimed out.
Yeah.
Warm things, hot things, cool things.
Yeah.
We're guitar nerds just like probably everyone else is. So we like to try different combinations of things, and it was really fun. It was like a candy store, but also the way in Pete Curry's world, it's also felt like we were like in the pantry with a great chef.
Totally.
And combining really simple things.
You can also ruin the whole thing looking at that, making a record that every song will be like way too different from another.
Right.
And that's not what's happening in our city. We had this kind of everything goes, but with a, how to say that, like a direction, looking for the big picture,
Right.
So it sounds good.
Yeah. And you mixed it?
I mixed it. Well, me and Pete, we mixed it in just one day, because again, it's just two guitars, so it's kind of a what else want to put in there,
Rack tom.
Yeah. No, not really. And that was it. Yeah.